A few years ago, I was a little girl, and I lived with a family that didn't really appreciate me. It turned out I had sort of magical powers, and I was able to lift objects and spin them and just use like the force, essentially. My father was Danny DeVito, but he wasn't very nice. He worked in a car place. But when I went to school, school was a whole new thing because Miss Trunchbull, this headmaster, we tell you about her. She was a real piece of work. But I was sort of saved by a teacher called Miss Honey. And I remember one time Miss Trunchbull grabbed the girl by her pigtails and swung her around and threw her, or tried to throw her, through the windows of the building. And she bounced right off. And even at that young, impressionable age, I remember thinking, what are those windows made of? Where did they come from? So I went over to the window. I plucked the calling card, and on this invincible window it said Graham's Windows and... I was Matilda, by the way. Did we all get that? Matilda.
I missed it.
Yeah, right. Good. I was Matilda. And on the card it said Graham's Windows and Doors. That's right. Graham's Windows and Doors are Yeovil's finest purveyor of windows, doors and conservatories. Go online at grahamswindowsanddoors.co.uk, and the reviews speak for themselves. They're really, really great. It's a wonderful family company. So go to grahamswindowsanddoors.co.uk. Now, on with the show.
Hiya, you're right. Hi, everyone.
Hello. Welcome to the Steve Kalis Show. I'm Steve Kalis, and I'm joined, as usual, by my boozy compadre, George Gunton.
Hello.
How you doing, mate?
I'm all right,
okay?
yeah. I boozy.
Yeah, you're boozy woozy.
Yeah. Well, not right now.
No, not right
I've
now.
been at work all day.
Very sensible now.
Yeah.
But over the weekend, we'll get into that.
Yeah, okay.
We imbibed over the weekend. It was
We did.
glorious. I'm also joined by one of the great performers of our time, Lissy Jane. Lissy Jane, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Right, so let me talk to you a little bit about when was Divas, because that weekend was a very long and drunken one for me.
It was Friday night.
Friday night.
Yep.
Wow, yeah. So Friday night, I came to see you at a bar which has a name, and that name is 8.
Meet at 8, I think it's called.
Meet
Is it,
at 8.
Is it Meet at 8
well, on the
or?
website
Dine
it
at
says
8?
8.
Oh.
Someone's
8
got on there
bar?
at 8.
I don't know.
8 bar? 8 ball? The 8?
Maybe.
But
Is it
wherever-
the new one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
So we went there, cozy, it was a cozy place, to watch you and my next door neighbour Flick perform as your group, the Divas. And I just got to say, I've always known that, because I've known you for a long time, I've seen you perform in different capacities, I've always known that you're very, very gifted. And
Thank you.
this is
That's
part
nice,
of the
isn't it?
praise I want to sort of give you is that, I was not rambling. The two greatest footballers in the world are Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. Okay.
Yep, agreed.
And the thing that separates them is that Messi has a very natural, God-given talent and has never really needed to work to perform at the highest level. It just has a magic about him. Whereas Cristiano Ronaldo has the same sort of thing, but also works extremely hard and has done the work to become the best in the world. You are a very Cristiano Ronaldo type of thing. I can see in you just how good you are, but also how in control you are of what you're doing because of your expertise, because of the university. Everything about you just screams superstar. I couldn't have been. I was genuinely sat
What a
there.
compliment.
I was genuinely sat there with my cousin, like just really proud. I always want us on the podcast to support each other in all our separate adventures, and I genuinely was really proud.
Thank
really,
you.
You were
It
incredible.
really meant the world you were there. I didn't know.
Yeah, I want to surprise you, and
Yeah.
but also just want to sort of show some support. So how did it go from your point of view?
No, it was hot. It's
Yeah, it was
quite a
hot.
small venue, and it's quite dark, isn't it? Like the
Yeah.
ceilings were dark, but it was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
Actually,
Yeah.
I don't like wearing sequins.
You don't like wearing
I
sequins?
don't. They're really itchy. Have you ever worn like
Alarmingly,
sequin?
yes, I have.
Yeah, it's really,
could see
and it's
that.
worse when you're hot and sweaty. Like they scratch.
Oh,
and-
yeah.
So I'm gonna see if I can get glitter
Mm.
for the next one
Sure.
instead of sequins, because you do get hot up there
Yeah.
because of lights and you're
Yeah.
dancing around and singing and all the rest of it. But no, it was really, really good actually. It was a really nice evening. The feedback
Yeah.
was lovely.
Good. That's really good.
So that's Friday night.
Mm.
I hear you were at the football ground on Saturday
We-
at the Somerset Fest.
We were.
Ooh,
How
yeah.
was that?
In body, if not in mind,
Oh,
we were there.
okay.
Yeah.
So we assembled a really cool team of people.
Okay.
And I always knew it. I mean, so I included Leanne and George into a sort of pre-existing party of friends I had,
Right.
knowing that they'd get along just fine.
Yeah.
And but you never know for sure. So I was a little bit anxious about how people can get along.
Yeah.
But it couldn't have gone better.
Nice.
It was, everyone just got along so well. It was a really lovely. And me and George were laughing just now because you wouldn't know by the pictures that we were at a festival. Because early on we decided to grab a table, claim it.
Right,
And that'll
yes.
be ours for the 10 hours we were there or whatever. And that's what we did. So there's actually no pictures of us at a festival. And there's loads of pictures of me in a urinal and at a table. Because we found a secret toilet. You found a secret toilet.
No, it was Bobby.
Bobby found a
Bobby
secret
found
toilet.
a secret toilet.
And so I got 100 pictures of me blown away in a urinal.
It was a great secret toilet.
Oh, it's making one.
Yeah,
Fucking made the day.
Yeah.
But we essentially just got wasted. Just all of us sat around this table telling jokes and laughing and talking, and it was good. What was your
That's
experience with
amazing.
George?
I had a great time. Yeah, it's my first, my return to drinking. I haven't been drunk for the last 6 or 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah, once or twice, maybe a couple of drinks, like 4 to 5.
Yeah.
But this was my first time in ages, years and years, for actually going for it.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve's friends, they made me feel really welcome. Actually, I was absolutely
nice.
blown away by them. I was really nervous about meeting them, and being with a group of people for the day. And we were together for, as Steve said, 12 hours. And I was, am I going to get on with these people? What if I'm just end up just sitting on my phone in the corner? But they were really welcoming. Yeah, I really, my hat off to your gang.
And they can be an alarming bunch to look at.
I wasn't going to say that.
They are. They're very because they're all very they're all a lot of them are very well known locally. They're all very tattooed and bearded and very big and muscular and or are known for causing trouble in their youth. So it can be, on the face of it, quite an intimidating group.
Okay.
But over the last sort of 10 or 15 years, I've whittled my sort of various friendship groups down to people who I love and trust.
Yeah.
And I know I'm safe within that little
Yeah.
group. So I knew that people would come into the fold and enjoy it, and they did. And I was just cracking, really good.
I think if I felt uncomfortable, I wouldn't have got as drunk as I did.
Yeah.
It's
that's right.
because I felt comfortable in the group that I was in that I felt
That's so nice.
relaxed.
Ooh,
to do
did
it.
get drunk, didn't we?
Oh,
It's been a
mama.
while since it's been a while. And I explained on the radio show, which is going out right now, actually. Hopefully I recorded it. I don't remember doing that either. But I explained on the radio show, the reason I've lost my voice, I've lost my voice not because I was singing over the DJs or singing songs or being loud and rambunctious. It's because Kevin and I got into an argument about who would win in a fight between Gandalf and Dumbledore. This fucking question
That old
is
chestnut.
ruining my life. It's taken over all aspects of my life. And that's why I'm so hoarse.
Oh, and in your defence, I mean, you're wrong, but in your defence, it was Josh and Kev versus you.
It's
So
the
you were
entire-
fighting both of them.
It's the entire internet versus me.
Well, yeah.
I'm very much
Yeah.
on an island here.
Yeah.
But it was a lovely, very warm, very friendly, very
And hats off to Sheridan as
Yeah.
well, because it
Yes,
went
yeah.
seemingly
looked-
from
No,
our
yeah.
perspective. I think it looked like it was run really well.
Yeah.
very
I
professional.
didn't see anything wrong. I didn't see any
No.
mistakes. We
That's
heard that some
good.
card machines went down as we got there,
But you can't
that
account
didn't-
for that, can you?
Yeah,
You
but
can.
and then it didn't affect us at all. We were
No.
there really early.
He just put on a very professional, very good festival. For the first ever one he's done.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Jesus Christ, the
Yeah.
man's got some skills. So yeah, it was just excellent, really
Oh,
good, really
good.
good. So we had a good weekend all round.
Yeah,
other than that. So,
nice.
yeah, look at us. How you doing in general, Lissy? Are you okay? How's life and stuff? And,
Yeah, good. Just a bit busy.
Yeah.
I'm rubbish with my phone at the moment.
What, you mean, like texting back and
Yeah,
replying?
awful.
And, yeah.
So I'm going to get a business phone.
Good idea.
Do you know what I mean? I've never done that.
Maybe
Yeah.
manage it in business hours.
That's what I
Yeah,
need
yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
Because then I don't feel like.
That's what voicemail's for. If they need you to leave a message. And you
No,
can
I
do
know,
it.
but it's like it's everywhere.
What
I
I
think
found.
that's the issue. When you've got your own business, it's your business email.
Yeah,
Then they'll
I
find your
see.
personal email. Then they'll text you.
Yeah.
Then they'll ring. Then they'll
Yeah.
go through Facebook.
I see. Yeah, you got to draw boundaries, mate. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you'll start drowning in it. You
I
won't.
know.
The love of it will start to sort of ebb away a little bit because there's pressure, and your brain's just trying to. Your brain will go into a sort of survival trauma mode because it's trying to get you through it,
Yeah.
and you won't engage properly with what you're trying to
And
do. So.
what I found with having it on your personal phone as well is that because you're so bombarded, you don't even reply to your personal contacts.
You're right. You are.
Yeah,
so
so
right.
if you have a business phone, you can then put that in a drawer at the end of the
Turn it
day,
off, yeah.
and then you have your personal phone for your personal communications.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah, maybe to consider doing that. Then.
Yeah, I
That's
think I'm
really
going to do
good.
that. I think
Yeah.
that'd be a good idea. And then further down the line, I might just get someone to do the admin.
Mhm.
Mm. Yeah. Good
I'll do
idea.
it if you give me free singing lessons.
Deal.
Ooh,
That was
trade.
I was joking.
No, you
No,
weren't.
it wasn't.
You
I was a
weren't.
little
You
bit.
said
A
you
little
Part of you
bit.
wanted that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did a bit. Yeah.
A real part of you came forth then.
I've
I really
always
wanted
wanted singing lessons.
I know you have.
I'm in the perfect opportunity.
that. A real part of your brain came forth to negotiate that.
Yeah.
You should heed
For
that part of your
Yeah,
brain.
I should. Yeah.
I will reply to your message later, by the way, about singing lessons.
Oh, you sowing the seeds?
I,
Sowing the
I
seeds?
hadn't thought so, but okay.
You blanking George?
Maybe it was
Sorry.
maybe it
I
was my
did
Saturday
intend
night message. I don't know.
Oh God, did it come with photos? Was he dressed?
not.
What happened?
Confirm it did not come with photos on this
Okay.
occasion.
That's good. What's funny is the next day, the worst thing, I get it really bad, and I didn't know you got it as well, but anxiety.
Oh.
It's a real motherfucker, isn't it? Like, and I left so many times. Well, it comes from like legitimately ruining my life
Absolutely,
many times.
yeah.
after
Yeah.
drinking.
Yeah.
So I have to. When I was a kid, when I was in my sort of late teens, early 20s, I always woke up in a panic with a hangover. Check my hands. Are they cut? Are they bruised? Are they scratched? Am I hurt in some way? Have I caused damage? Are my friends still my friends? Yeah, and it's just all day it was just
Been
a
there, done
nightmare.
that. Yep.
And so the reflex of that still exists now. I'm a sensible, fat, tired dad at 33. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can't shake it. So when you messaged a group saying that, I've had some anxiety,
Yeah.
I made sure to go, it's all right.
Yeah, no, I
totally
appreciated that.
understand.
Yeah, Steve put a message in saying you were great. Don't worry about it, and it literally settled me.
Because all I've wanted in my life is for someone just to say that to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You
Anxiety.
do, they do.
But instead, the feedback is very negative when
Yeah.
it comes back.
You were arrested.
You really deserve that anxiety.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, good. So good weekend all around.
Yeah, no,
That's
it's lovely,
okay.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Nice weather too.
So let's dive in to what have we learned this week.
What have we learned this week? Learning stuff is cool.
Now, Lissy, a lot of this very much lives and dies with you.
Yeah, I would say so.
Because George and I have spent a considerable time hungover now.
Okay,
so,
cool.
And together as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
So what have you learned this week?
What have I learnt this week?
How important it is to delegate responsibilities when running a
Okay,
business.
I'd take
To
that.
me.
I'd take that. It's not fresh learning, but a revisiting learning experience
Equally as
for me.
important. Yep.
Was looking into. So we spoke a couple of weeks ago. I told you about the vocal folds, vocal
Yes.
cords.
That's right.
So we actually have something called false folds.
Ah,
Okay, so they
I know the
imitate the shape of your vocal folds.
I've had a run in with these guys before.
one. Yeah, those devils.
These fuckers rearing their heads again. Come on, what have they done now?
But they don't actually like function the sound, if you know what I mean. But have you ever like swallowed and like caught your breath and coughed?
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
Like
identified.
it's almost like you've gone to take a drink, but you haven't. It's just air.
Yeah.
That's basically what the false folds are designed for. So they direct your food and drink away from the windpipe.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a few times, I think maybe anxiety, I don't know, but I've done it a few times, like just caught my breath, and it's like my body thinks I'm eating and drinking something, and I'm like, why am I doing that? So then I've gone back through all like my vocal health stuff and gone, oh,
Those false folds.
those bloody false
Yeah.
folds, just
For the penny.
literally catching me out all the time. Do you know what I mean?
That's
so
funny.
that's why they're there.
Right.
So there you go.
That's a good lesson.
So yeah, so
I
that's
think.
so the evolutionary purpose of them is to guide food away from your windpipe.
Yeah,
That's not to
basically.
suffocate you. And every now and then they let you down. And
Yeah, sometimes like you're just.
Or is it like a faux feeling that you're eating something?
It's kind of like
Yeah.
that. So you're sometimes when you breathe like quickly, or you just catch your it catches,
I see.
and then your body goes, oh, I'm drinking, and they
Mm,
close.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you actually aren't eating or drinking anything, so it turns into like a cough, doesn't it? Like
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Okay,
Right.
well, hey, that's good. Hey, you actually learned something. Or revisit something. That's actually good. Now, go on, George. What have you learned this week?
I have learnt.
Oh.
Okay. Golden
Oh,
Globe
what have I learned? Oh. Do you know what, actually? This is a bit of a callback from one of the episodes we did recently. A friend texted me and said that Slab City, which I mentioned before as the bougie homeless camp, there was a documentary about it on Friday night. So I seem to have picked it up at sort of just the right time, because clearly I'm not the only person that's sort of learning about
You've
it.
called it into the ether.
Yeah. Maybe I was the first person recently. to report on it.
I want to watch it. It does sound really interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. My friend texted me saying, "Oh, that's Slab City. I heard it on the show." He said, "There's something on about it now," and I said, "Oh, right. Oh, that sounds really cool." And he didn't reply, so I don't even couldn't
I'll
say what it was
Google it,
on.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, that's very good.
yeah. And I'm still learning Italian.
How's
It's been
that
on
going?
pause for a couple of days. Saturday. Yeah. But yeah, still trying to.
Well, this
pick up
section can
Italian.
encapsulate that. Like in general, how are you feeling about your, the diet you're on and stuff, the weight loss, and how's that sort
Well,
of thing going?
so with the Italian, it's on Duolingo and it's free. So you only get like a certain amount of lives for wrong answers.
Sure.
So I only end up doing sort of 20 minutes, maybe even less on some bad days where I'm just not retaining the information. But I quite like that it's a slow burner. You know, I do it on my bike, on my exercise bike. I do 45 minutes on my exercise bike a day, 5 days a week. So I just do the 20 minutes on my exercise bike. And some days I get it wrong and some days I'm progressing. But I think that's going to help me with my development because it's not something that's forced and really quick.
Sure.
So because it's a long burner, I feel like I'm retaining the information,
Steadily absorbing
smaller fragments of information, but I'm retaining them for longer.
That's amazing.
So I'm really enjoying it. I can't say anything yet, but
But yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
grazie mille.
Ooh,
Yeah.
hello.
Thank you very much.
Buongiorno.
You can't say that without the face, though, can
No, I
you?
cannot. No. I have to,
We're not recording today.
I have to mould my face into an Italian to do the words properly. Ooh. Bene. Ooh, very nice.
Yeah. So I haven't necessarily learnt anything. I probably have, but I
you're on
lost
a
it
journey.
all on Saturday.
Yeah,
My brain was empty.
yeah, me too.
But yeah.
But you're on the journey still. You're still on the journey.
Yeah,
That's good.
absolutely.
That's very, very good.
And you, Steve.
Yeah.
Go on, brain.
Come on.
Let's do that improv thing. We're good at that. Let me tell you what I've learned this week, actually. I've got to go on. So I'm reading a book by, do you remember Bear Grylls, the adventurer?
I do.
He assembled like these stories that inspired him to become an adventurer in the first place. And they're just most harrowing, gory stories you've ever heard of human survival. And not just like, blokes stuck in the woods for a few days and managed to get out. It's like these people are near death, or they're near death and they're just in the most desperate agony and situation, and then somehow like they have enough in them to survive, find a way to survive.
Right, okay.
And the ones that stand out to me are the stories of people during World War II, I want to say. So, and I'm not sure it's relevant, but essentially a lot of it revolves around the cruelty of the Japanese and how just evil the Japanese were to prisoners of war. But the crux of it is these two different stories of people who survived on rafts. One guy was deliberately trying to see how far, whether you can cross the Atlantic Ocean on a wooden raft.
Right, okay.
And another guy was just stuck out there in the middle of the war on this sort of dinghy, essentially. And the ways they survived are really, really clever. There's basic things like when a shark's coming up to try and eat them, they smack it away with the oars, all that sort of thing. But to get water, what they try and do is have to lure birds into the boat, kill the birds, and then drink the blood.
Right, okay.
Because that's where the water is. Or the same with if you can just about manage to catch a fish, you can just drink the blood of the fish.
Yeah.
I learned that if you want trying to survive on a shark, you can't eat a shark raw. You have to cook a shark other than the liver. You can eat the liver of a shark raw.
Right.
You can eat it and you can drink the blood from that to try and hydrate yourself. And a story about one guy, and I maybe I'll better tell this one next week when I can get his name, but the story of one of the guys who survived for weeks and weeks on a raft, just like this, barely surviving, with two other guys. One died and the other one just about survived. So they somehow find land after months at sea, surviving this way, barely surviving, just down to their skeletons. The land they see, it's not funny, it's horrible. Get out the giggles. It's funny, but it's horrible. I'm not kidding. So they survive for months at sea, and the land that they come across is an obscure island that's used as a Japanese prisoner of war camp.
Excellent. Right. That's exactly what you want.
So there you go. Finally, salvation.
Yeah.
And then tortured for 2 years on this prisoner of war camp.
Perfect.
That's
Right.
but this one guy, he survived all of that, survived this prison walkout where, like, they torture you, they abuse you, they just beat you, they waterboard you, don't let you sleep, don't give you any food. The only food you can have is, they'll chuck you some measly bread, but chuck it in the toilets where there's diarrhea, and so you have to eat at that. He survived, he had loads of open wounds, and he survived by getting maggots out of this sort of diarrhea-ridden toilet and sticking the maggots in his legs to survive. It's just survival stories like that at the minute I'm really into for some reason. But I keep reading them just before bed, which is so it slips.
Harrowing.
Yeah, I keep slipping into my unconscious, and which is
that's weird.
But so I guess some ways to survive at sea is what I learned this week.
Well, I find it interesting that Bear Grylls has inspirational stories of why he does what he does, because he's not from that background. I think Bear Grylls he went to Eton, so he's like from a well-to-do background. So it's interesting that's he chose his career sort of thing, or his
by
passion
being moved by people that should not have survived and somehow did,
and it's really inspired him clearly.
And me, to be fair, it's incredible. And one thing I have got the urge, I think this is a guy in his 30s thing, but I do have the urge to go to the woods and try and survive there for a week. I mean, just hard camp, fire, basic meats. Just
do you think you could do it?
Being alone with my thoughts for more than 3 minutes makes me very upset and stressed.
But do you think? But forgetting that bit, do you know enough about animals and stuff like that?
So you take some kind of manual or some kind of kit.
Yeah, the joke I was going to make is it's all well and good that you can eat a shark's liver, but I couldn't even identify what a shark's liver looked like.
Which part would be?
Is this the liver? Oh no, it might be that bit.
Yeah, and you die. Yeah, I would die straight away.
Yeah, instantly.
All these people have done that. I would die within an hour of the first of their troubles. You know what I mean? I couldn't survive that way. So, but yeah, I'm really into sort of survival stories at the minute, and I have a compulsion to return to the woods from whence we came, to return to the motherland.
You ever watched The American Office?
Yeah, sort
Michael
of.
Scott tried to do that once.
Oh, did?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that how you see me? Because I'm a much more rugged survivor than Michael Scott. I'm much more street smart. So I think, I would like to experiment with just me in the woods, because that's supposed to be so good for you. Reset your mental health, your body clock, and you sleep so much better after.
I don't know if it's a man thing, but I fully understand.
No,
do you get that? Yeah.
Like when I went to Thailand, that's part of their culture. They go for 1 or 2 weeks on a retreat. They give in their phones, and some days you're sat in silence, surrounded by mountains and nature, sounds of the earth, nothing.
Yeah, that frightens me. That's beautiful. And the reason I say a man thing is because I suppose I'm thinking of the essence of hunter-gathering, where you get like the greatest rewards from catching a fish, or hunting a bison,
and getting the biggest one,
or providing, I suppose. And I suppose I feel that I'm sort of getting a sense of that evolutionary need to do something of that ilk.
Really
I think.
cool.
Yeah, maybe, but I'll probably die.
Have you ever been sea fishing or fishing?
No, fishing always bores me because I'm left alone with my thoughts too long, and I start to go a little bit insane.
Have you ever killed an animal?
Inadvertently,
yes. I was going to say, have you ever killed an animal?
Remember I told you a very gory story about a seagull a little while ago? Didn't make it onto the episode. So inadvertently. But I don't think that's the other thing.
Well, I'm
too
just
westernized.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could.
Lissy, do you think you could do it? Do you know enough about nature? Do you know enough about camping and cooking and stuff?
But it's
like
okay
that
if not.
I'm genuinely
I
asking.
think I could, and also when I'm putting that, like, we go sea fishing every year, like it's just like a family
Who are you?
tradition. I just
As
honestly,
you do.
Well, I think from a single mother's point of view, bringing Oliver up, it was important for me to give him. So, like, my dad used to go shooting, like in the autumn, so we'd go beating.
Yeah.
Right.
And then,
oh,
so actually, you're probably more equipped than me and Steve.
You would need to lead
sea
us.
Sea fishing and
but sea
beating
fishing,
for
like
the
teaching
shoot.
Oliver how to actually gut a fish, and then we cook it on the barbecue.
Yeah, that's great.
Like,
you're more survivable.
He could do that now without me, and that's like, I think that's been my thing for him, because I lost my mum at such a young age. If I wasn't here anymore, he could still do this and not need me and carry on that skill to then give to his children. I think that's nice. So I'm not really a girly girl, never have been.
You are an onion.
I am an onion.
Wow. What a
I've just gone
compliment.
from the biggest compliment ever. I'm a superstar. I'm the,
Yeah.
the equivalent of Cristiano.
Always keep
Yeah,
them on
yeah,
their
yeah.
toes.
Now
Always keep
I'm
them on
an
their
onion.
toes. No, in that you have layers. It's a Shrek analogy.
I do
Yeah,
have
yeah.
layers, yeah.
I wasn't expecting you to say that you could gut a fish.
Yeah, we should
or
go in the
that you
summer.
used to go
Like
beating.
it's like
I'm
a
so
month
scared now.
and the mackerel come
Yeah,
in.
you're right.
Like, you can even tell like when the mackerel come in because like the little white bait fish come to because they're chased in through the mackerel, and that's when you cast out. Into
Safe
the
to
sea.
say, I would
Yeah.
die instantly.
Yeah, we need you
Yeah.
to help us. Yeah,
Yeah.
you
So
do that,
it's-
but you would lead us. You have to
Like,
guide
it's a
us.
lot of fun. Like
Because I feel like, I wasn't trying to say I would do that and then be okay.
Yeah.
What I want is the challenge of having to figure out on the spot
Mm.
how to make a fire, how to provide. But most of all, I suppose, is how to be alone with myself for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's the most harrowing challenge of all. I suppose the greatest villain in my life is the other me that lives within. So, coming toe to toe with him for a little while would be nice.
Yeah.
Unless he wins. I'm
Yeah,
not
I was
sure-
going
I'm
to say,
not sure.
would it be nice?
Because you
would
would be
it
focused on
nice?
surviving and learning. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
And maybe I'd need him, the darker side, to help me survive.
Of course.
Maybe it'll
You use him.
synchronize us.
Very
Yeah.
Batman.
Yeah, maybe. Well, that's not the first time someone's made that comparison, George. In fact, it's leveled at me a lot.
Compliments are given tonight, aren't they? Really, Leslie?
Well, let's go. Hey, look, we all learned stuff.
We did.
Mostly about Lissy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Crazy.
No, you're
No, it's
cool.
a right adventure
Yeah.
for me and Steve. I
Yeah,
think.
I always-
You should go sea fishing there. I think you'd actually really enjoy it.
Yeah, I always thought if I could just listen to stuff, like listen to music and fish, I'd really enjoy it
You
now.
would.
I used to not enjoy the thought of it at all because I used to have to be constantly stimulated. But now I can mellow. I'm much better at chilling, so I think I'd be I'm much.
Yeah, there's
more
two
prepared.
different fishing in there. Like my partner goes carp fishing, and it's boring.
Is that sitting at a river?
Basically, yeah.
That's what I've got in my mind. Yeah.
No,
it's
but
like
sea
that.
fishing, you're constantly because
Mm.
you've got like, what are they called? Can't remember now. They go on the end of the hook. What are they called? It's like bait basically, and they look like
Lure.
a white bait, a lure. Yeah.
Right.
So
sure.
you're imitating their movement, so that then the mackerel catch
a bit
that.
fish
so
psychology.
you're constantly
I like that. I
you're
like that.
constantly going. It's really
Wow.
it's hard work
Okay. Well, maybe we should schedule a trip where
Let's
Lissy
do
can
it.
teach us how to survive
Yeah,
in the
okay,
wild.
yeah.
on the beach.
Do you think
Yeah.
Kev could do it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kev's,
okay,
Kev's,
yeah.
yeah, Kev's into all sorts of stuff.
Bare
for sure.
hands as well.
Yeah,
like,
man. Yeah, his ancestors have been surviving in the
Yeah.
wild for thousands of years, haven't they? They only just learned to talk a generation ago. And yeah, so it's great. I think well done, really good.
Yeah.
Well done, everyone. Okay, so Lissy, to wrap it up, and we can take some time on this.
Yeah.
You asked us a question. So we recorded an episode last week that didn't survive the cut because I sort of lost my mind a little bit. And I wasn't happy with the end result, and the microphone was bad. But you asked a question at the end was really interesting. So feel free to pose that question once more, and we can tackle it together. And why did you ask it?
Okay, so I wanted your opinion on the concept of should opinions be invited, or is it a given now that we do something and you have the right to offer up your opinion without the invitation?
Yeah, I see. So it's been like, it's I suppose examples of my own life have been where I've done something and people have gone, oh, that was, offered a negative opinion or offered a way to improve that without me offering it up.
Yes.
Yeah, because I've got a fragile ego. That's the last thing I need. I'm riding high. So yeah, so it's not good to is it okay to? And actually, the other thing I thought of was that day when you brought that up. I had talked to George, and it's only occurred to me afterwards. I had talked to you about your weight loss about an hour before that, and
Okay.
I'd offered up an unsolicited opinion about
Oh, I
the
don't remember.
amount of weight you'd lost.
Okay.
Do you remember? And
I do remember. Yes,
but I was
actually,
trying to. So this is why afterwards I thought it was a much more complicated conversation than we initially thought.
Yeah.
Because what I was trying to do was, from the point of view as a friend,
Mm-hmm.
come in and say, "Hey, well, you're looking good exactly as you is, and I know you can plan on losing a bit more weight."
Mm-hmm.
And I was going, be careful because you lose too much weight.
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you start to, you
Yeah.
start to disappear. So how you are now is looking good. And then when you brought that up, I thought, that was a totally unsolicited opinion. But I thought, coming from a friend, it's different. Because there's an interventionist aspect where if someone loves and cares about you,
Yeah.
then there's an element of I can take it because they're trying to protect me or they're worried
Yeah,
for them.
for
But if it's
sure.
a random Joe who say listen to the podcast, we had this at the festival. We had a guy who was we almost got to a fight at the end. I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but this guy just offered up like essentially slagging us off, and And I was like, what the fuck? It doesn't need to happen. I don't care about your opinion, and you have not my best interest in heart.
No.
What you want is to fight someone who's very well known in the town. I suspect it was
Antagonise. Yeah.
So that's the crux of what the situation is. Would you agree? That's the
Yeah, definitely. And I think when it comes from a friend or a loved one, there's different levels to it. So if it's about your health and your well-being, I think you have a responsibility to give that. Do you see what I mean?
I see. Yeah, sure.
If your friend or family, like, I can only really think of, like, I see this from a creative point of view. That's where this thought has come from.
Mm-hmm.
Being a creative or creating content or music or whatever, it's like it's a given that people must tell you their opinions on it, which isn't always invited. And it's, from my point of view, I've spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds producing, writing, recording music, for someone to then say, oh, you should have done that.
Yeah, I see.
Why did you do that there?
The struggle is for some people, they would say, but what's the difference between me giving my opinion on my concern for your health and just because it's creative?
Yeah.
Because I have the same. I create on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I'm always having people saying, you should do it like this.
Yes. Yeah.
And no, I shouldn't.
No.
Do it.
Yeah.
But if someone wrote, hey, you look like you've lost loads of weight, are you all right?
Yeah.
Then that's then a whole different story.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, oh, this person's genuinely worried about me.
So
and I guess
interesting.
it all depends on perception as well. That
For
day
sure.
that Steve was talking about my weight loss, my perception of Steve is he is my friend. But there's someone at work that's always saying, oh, don't lose any more weight though. You don't want to lose any more weight. And I'm like, nope. Yes, I do. Thank you.
I see.
Now, never talk to me again.
I wonder if the gauge is how much of our own ego comes into it as well. Because it's fine if someone unsolicited says, you guys are fucking killing it right now. And you could, but for me, that comes from the same place of, hey, I'm really, the work you do, I get some reward and benefit from it. Or they might be saying, I would get even more reward and benefit from it if you were to do it this way instead, even though we don't want that opinion and we don't really care.
Yeah.
For me, my eggshell ego goes, and that means everyone hates me. So it falls apart. So it's a really complicated. I would prefer, in the ideal world, offer if we have a relationship of some way, then I would totally. And I learned this from my best friend Roxy, because she is so honest, but not because she enjoys being honest, and she knows, and she's not like this with everybody else, but with me, I get the cold truth all the time.
Yeah.
And I have ever since I was about 13 from it,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes I really hated it, right? And sometimes I really won't talk to her for days, so I really pissed off about it.
Yeah.
But it was always from a real place of love. Roxy's one of the people that's loved me the purest in my entire life. It's real. It's a very special thing that I have. So every time she says, like when I was a kid or a teenager, you're going too far with this. That's you shouldn't do that. That's bad. This you need to do this more. Whatever it is. It's never from a place of I want to hurt your feelings.
No.
It's from a place of listen, I care about you, and I can and this is what that is.
Yeah.
And that's actually really nice.
Yes.
But if it's a random Joe, you just want to sort of bite the nose off, don't you?
I think the ego thing comes into being creative as well, because you put your heart and soul into that creation.
true.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between an opinion on me. I've put my heart and soul into my weight loss, for example, but it's not the same as creating. It's not the same. I can say that for sure. It's not the same heart and soul that I've put into either of them.
Right.
No.
I put more of myself into creating YouTube videos than I did eating less food.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to then comment on what I really tried to do, really it's something I'm trying to perfect, I'm trying to make better, and someone has a negative opinion on it.
Yeah, totally understand.
That can be really horrible.
Yeah.
So I think that people's opinions
Just don't be talking about it.
I think you should ask for permission to give an opinion. But as I said on the day that you brought it up, the internet has absolutely ruined
Oh
it.
yeah.
Because you can write whatever you want on the internet, and you can write it anonymously, and no one will ever know. And that's I think that's leaked into human behaviour.
Yeah, me too.
Definitely.
And that's not for the better, because it's not creating then a stream of even more improved art or output. It's just making people more anxious to distribute their work. Because they're so fearful of the feedback.
Yeah.
So it's not having the effect you would think, where people are going, well, actually the caliber of work. I mean, I remember reading this thing about why children's TV is so good, and children's TV it's so good, and the reason is because kids are really harsh critics.
Yeah.
They have no social qualms about saying, I don't want to watch this anymore. Turn this
Yeah.
off. Never watch it again. So children's TV is a really high caliber. Think of Bluey. That's one of the great TV shows of all time, and it's really good. So and it's the same. But the adverse effect of it is people aren't creating the things they want to create. Instead, they're trying to conform to what they think the Twitter opinion is.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
and I think that's
Yeah.
ugly. Yeah.
Well, I tried an experiment after the gig on Friday, and I thought, I'm going to put a photo of myself, an edited, perfect photo
Yeah.
from the gig. And I'm also going to put a video of me singing, just to see what the reaction was.
Oh.
Did anyone comment on my singing? No. But I looked great. And I thought, how interesting is that?
That's interesting.
It
So what
took
did you
me-
take from that?
It took me 3 minutes probably to take the photo, edit the photo, and be happy
I
with
see.
to pick. However, the singing, that is my life.
Yeah, your thing.
And
yes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
no one said, "Wow, you sound great," or I got fire emojis. I got, "You look gorgeous. You're so beautiful," which is lovely because I'm putting that online, and that's a given. I'm giving you permission to comment or share your opinions. I just thought it was interesting that the
Yeah.
actual creation
Yeah.
from that wasn't acknowledged
But we
as
do.
much.
We derive a lot of our personality from our creative output. I do. My podcast, everything I've ever tried to create, I've tried to do, is an extension of my personality. It's a limb, it's a kidney that's out there and suddenly
Yeah.
exposed. It's my lungs are there, ribless, ready for you to attack, but I'm putting it out there.
Yeah.
And so we just, if you aren't of a creative bend, then you won't understand how much creative people define themselves by the quality of what they're able to do
Yeah.
and put out and perform,
Agree.
which again may circle back to the fragility of our ability to handle
Yeah.
people having an opinion on those things.
Yeah.
And I about you in particular, like the way you look, but that is the least interesting thing about you. Yeah, and as we are slowly discovering each
Yeah.
time, like,
Yeah.
like 7 different people in one, and I suppose I've gone the other way where my defense was I was never good looking, so I had to try and find a niche where people would find me interesting enough to want to talk to me or notice me. But so we define ourselves by our creative output, so we're delicate to what people say about it. So maybe there is an element of I am very fragile about that. And I am very sensitive to what people say. People are always going to have opinions, whatever you do. Imagine that you become the most successful in the field of what you do. Imagine the podcast takes off. I mean, you always notice the red lights, never the green. We're always going to notice when someone criticizes it.
So that was going to be one of my follow-up questions
Yeah.
is, do you think people only ever give you negative feedback on the thing that you do creative? You don't get as much feedback that's in more of a positive manner?
Do you think people find it harder to say,
Yeah.
fucking hell, that was good?
Yeah.
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 Whereas I make a point of making sure I say to someone, wow, man,
Yeah.
I really appreciate what you did there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But that doesn't seem natural, does it? People seem much rather to want to be critical of the thing.
Well, I did it with you today. I think Steve really held the group together on Saturday night. I think he's really good at sort of spotting someone that isn't talking much or something like
Yeah.
that and just bringing them out. I think
Yeah.
he does it quite naturally.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to make sure I told him that because
Yeah.
he made me feel really comfortable.
Yeah.
But I think another person might have just been like, all right, mate, the next time
Yeah,
they saw
yeah.
you, and not mention that. I make a conscious effort to try and
Yeah.
engage with those things that I notice and
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and another question. Sorry, I'm
Oh,
just
good
gonna.
one,
I'm
yeah.
just sort of. I've been
No,
listening.
it's good.
Well, what's the other question? Do you think creative people? It's known that you use a different part of your brain to be creative.
Mhm.
So, do you think the fragility, is that the word that you were talking about, Steve, is interlinked to the creative side of your
Great
brain?
question. Yeah, because maybe it comes from the same place. I always say this about my depression. The very thing that I've been sort of tortured with since I was a kid is the reason I've never medicated is because the very best parts of me I feel come from the exact same place.
Yeah.
To kill that part would be to kill the parts of me that learned to cope with that, and as a result made me exactly who I am.
Yeah.
Good father, good friend, good, good podcasting, all those sorts of things. So I think it does all come from the same place, probably.
Lissy, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Do you think
And-
if you were a much more of a
Logic.
logic-based person rather than a creative-based person, you might not notice that feedback, or might not even receive that
Yeah, maybe
feedback
'cause you
because
might
you never
reason
put
it,
anything out.
And but I think it feeds, doesn't it? Like, I studied law at A level. Okay, I couldn't sit there. I know.
Another thing, yeah.
I studied law because I was really always interested. I loved arguing. I loved fighting. I loved fighting my brothers, my parents. I always used to just be able to whittle out lots of reasons why something was not okay or something wasn't good, la la la. So really interested in law. And I didn't learn very well, sat at a desk reading case studies. And I couldn't retain that information. So what did I do? I would find a backing track on YouTube and then write
A song.
I would replace the lyrics of said song
Yeah,
with
okay.
the case study. So when it came to exam time, when you're literally having to retain and just copycat these cases, these years, all the rest of it, I was just singing it in my head. So I used the logic, but I had to implement the creative side of me to make it work. And I just think it goes together, but
you had to tap into that one of those things wasn't as natural as the other.
Yeah, one's
For
the
sure,
primary.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's
But you can use it to function the
Oh,
logical
yeah.
side 100%.
But your
Yeah.
primary brain there was the creative brain, and you needed to access it to help you with that.
Yeah.
Like I got one of my best friends, Tom. He's the total opposite. He's very, very. He's like a computer, and that's how his brain works. Very technical, very and I'm the total opposite of that. I've got to be able to create and feel my emotions and output them, and my creative brain is the center of Steve Kalis. That's where I come from. Whereas he's the total other side of the brain, very logical and analytical.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And maybe these criticisms, if you were logical, if you were to say a Spock-like being, and you're very logical, then actually criticism is a positive thing, because you'd go, well, that person didn't like that.
Yeah,
That's
whether
really
it's
interesting.
negative or positive.
Yeah, I can take that on
can be
board and grow
used,
from it.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're a creative brain, you're going, you're not just saying, oh, you have a problem with my work. You're saying you have a problem with me.
So
my
I
soul.
actually
I
think,
didn't ask you.
I think
Yeah,
the
for
split
sure,
is less creative and logical, and more logical and emotional, I think, is how people generally talk about it.
Yeah,
So I
definitely.
would say creative people are a lot more emotional than
Yeah.
than the logic side of the brain.
Yeah, and there are studies to back up that the people that hone in their creativity are more prone to depression and
Yeah,
anxiety.
yeah, yeah.
Like, there's studies on it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I mean? So maybe that is a reflection of why we're like,
Yeah. But on the other hand, I don't think opinions should just be given without.
I think like you said, it's perceptive, and you
But I
have
just
to
think we're gonna
read it.
especially the three of us who are trying to achieve things in some manner of creative art, we're going to come across it. So it's acknowledging, like, well, people shouldn't do that. You should have the social etiquette to just fucking shut up about it.
Yeah.
But we're going to deal with it. So we have to acknowledge a little bit of his ego, a little bit is protecting a very precious part of ourselves that the art comes from, that we feel exposed whenever we do it. So we have to toughen up to it in a way. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do
Yeah.
appreciate it, but I do think you have to read the situation. If I go to therapy, that I expect to have to unload a lot, right?
Sure.
If I go, like, my students, they trust me with my expertise, and part of that relationship is my feedback to progress. So that is a given. However, showcasing things or singing even in front of you guys, and you turn around and say, I wouldn't have chosen that song to do, without me asking.
I didn't know you heard us say that. Orcs.
I wasn't there.
It's just different, isn't it? And
I totally agree. I think that's absolutely right. I just think also we do have to, if you're gonna put out songs, or even if the only creative thing you were doing was being on this show, sooner or later, and I'm scared of this, but sooner or later we will have to get a much tougher skin to it, and not let it bother us.
Well, the bigger you get, the more feedback you're going to receive.
And this guy at Summerfest was a really good example of that. He's someone who just see my face all over the place and is fucking sick of it, and just wanted to have a pop at me about it. And God, he's fucking lucky. Didn't hear what he
I
said.
would say
Wanker.
he's quite lucky.
God.
Yeah.
But I was just, we went home because I said to Mish, because essentially it was happening. I didn't really register because he wasn't coming at me. He said something, and then my sister whisked him away, and I was too drunk to realise what he said. But I got his vibe and I got the tone.
Yeah.
I think we all got the vibe.
Yeah,
actually,
and I was going, what the hell was it? I was so fucking drunk. I just nicked a pint of cider in like however many seconds it was. I was wasted. And I said to Mish, in the end, I'm feeling very fighty. I'm feeling I would enjoy antagonising that guy over there because I think he wants to have a pop at me about something. And the next day, my sister said, "Yeah, he was just saying that the stuff you do for the town's no good, and just doesn't like it. Just I've never met him. He doesn't know who I am,
bizarre.
but he just doesn't doesn't like the self that I've put out there, and that bothered me." And I almost messaged him. I was really upset, but that bothered me because I was like, "You don't actually know me," but then he does know the part of myself I put out there.
Yeah.
So it does have your feelings hurt. That's something critical. But in this, if we're going to make this work, we will eventually have to get slightly tougher skin to it. You know what I mean? But also acknowledging that we can think, "Go fuck yourself." I mean, that's your fucking
definitely.
opinion.
Yeah,
and also, even though you might not like it, there could be a good opinion in some of it as well. Some of it could be seen as constructive, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
There might be a reason that someone's
if
saying
200
it.
people are saying you're fucking rambling intros at the beginning,
Well,
or you're fucking Matilda.
I am upset.
If everyone we come across yells at me, that's not very good. Sooner or later, I have to go. I don't know if people are feeling the intros.
I'm not sure about these intros.
yeah. So that's a really good question and a really complicated one.
Just before you start going into, do you want to ask the listeners?
If you listen to that really good conversation, that's podcasting, baby. Good work. What is your opinion on unsolicited advice and criticisms? Let us know. Is it appropriate? Is it ever appropriate? If take the parts of what we've said today and let us know what you think, because we skew bias a little bit because we're creative to a degree, and I think you're much more in tune actually with both sides of your brain. You couldn't do it without.
Yeah, I would say I'm
the IT
more
side
in the middle than you guys. Yeah.
Whereas I think you and I veer wildly off into the creative brain. But that's where we get our superpowers from, but also where we get a great amount of vulnerability. So maybe so listen, let us know what we think. Let us know what you think of that conversation. I thought it was very good and very interesting. A bit more serious than we're used to on the Steve Kayla show here, but why
should we make some more jokes?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, can do. I suppose. What I heard the other day.
I have none.
No, we're not armed. Oh damn! I had a great joke the other day, and I fucking. Oh, it's from the dad jokes episode of me and Kevin.
Oh yeah.
There's a couple of bangers in there. Do you want a couple of those? This is from
why not?
Yeah. So, hey,
Do it in Italian.
why?
I dare you.
Why did the farmer?
Oh,
Lord! Why did the farmer become a DJ when his crop failed? It's because he had a ton of sick beats.
Oh.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
What did Cinderella say when she got to the ball? You know what I'm saying?
Oh god.
Apologies.
No.
Apologies. So, hey, there we go. Back
Yeah.
in form.
Okay. Yeah. Here we are. We're back.
Back in the room.
Yeah, here we go. Lovely. Well, listen, let's put unless anyone wants to talk about anything else whilst we're here. No.
Do you just do one more
I'm good.
plug?
Lissy, how are you finding your experience on the Steve Kayla show?
I'm loving it.
Yeah?
Yeah,
You enjoying
loving
it?
it. Yeah,
Okay,
I do.
Good. George, how are you finding your experience on the Steve Kayla show?
It's all right.
Yeah, mixed bag.
No, I love it. Yeah,
Good.
I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad
Good.
I've stuck it out.
Yeah, good. I keep meaning to sort of check in with people because it's a long old journey. You know what I mean? It's a long because I listened today to the first ever episode we recorded of this incarnation of the show was me and Misha. We were sat on the sofa and we had the iPad between us and a lapel mic, and we were talking about our plans for Kayla's Media and the Steve Kayla show. And I took that episode down because I hated the idea of people going to that, like doing a new episode. It took me ages to produce, and then they go right back to the first one, which is very raw. But I re-uploaded it today.
I think having stuff like that's really good. Yeah.
Because the earliest one you'll find is the dad jokes one, which is Kev's first appearance.
It's the first one I watched. Yeah.
But I re-uploaded that one with Misha today because that's really actually get a nice sense of our relationship, and it's a really
that's
nice
so
one.
nice.
So I just thought, man, it's been years we've been doing this. And chances are, we've got years to go.
Yeah.
So, it's
a journey.
Yeah, it's an adventure.
Absolutely.
It's a journey. But there's literal, measurable, analytical success between here and then. Every year, I see the spikes get a little bit taller, the listenership, and I get the retention rate's much better. So good. I just want to do a little check-in.
Nice.
And listener, I know you love Kevin very much. Kevin will be back in the next few weeks. He's last time Kevin was on with the Grace episode, he mentioned his diabetes and stuff. I know he's tackling that. He's working very hard at his job. He's trying to get promoted, all this sort of stuff. So Kev's a very busy man. But he'll be back in about 2 weeks for an episode. So yeah. So George, anything you want to push before we go?
If you want to hear more of me, I'm called The Good Lad Gamer on YouTube, and I make Raid Shadow Legends content.
Excellent. And Lissy, where on earth can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram at bmusicyeoval. That's my business page. And then personally, I use TikTok, and it's Lissy Jane Vocals.
Excellent. And you can find me or all of us at The Steve Kalish Show on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're fucking everywhere, really. Just, yeah, we're and a little bit on Twitter, X, but it died a death there. It's like the whole place is like a graveyard of content robots.
I think you have to make explicit content to be on there these days.
I'm thinking
anyway.
about it. I'm thinking about it. I want to branch
That's
out.
not what I was saying.
Yeah, the
but-
Only Steve's website in there. Yeah. So you can find us at the Steve Kalish Show and all those sort of things. You can go to Kalish Media, CALSmedia.com. Go to grahamswindowsanddoors.co.uk. They're our sponsor. They are Yeovil's finest purveyor of windows, doors, and conservatories. I think that's it. Anyone want to say anything else before we go?
No, I'm
Smashing
good.
it.
Yeah, we're doing good. Well done, guys. Okay, now I lost my voice. Okay, so I'm not sure what's going to come out when I attempt to do this. Okay. Okay. So bye for now. Bye.
That was the best one.
That was really good. God damn, and my voice is so much sexier like this as well. I wish I could stay like this. I wish I could have this amount of damage. Let's see, how do I damage my
No,
throat
I'm
enough?
not. I'm a vocal health first aider, actually. I could not. I could not.
Hiya, you're right. Hi, everyone.